Hey everybody, welcome to, what is this now, episode 34? Or 24, I believe? Let me check. You know what, I should check this before I jump into it, but let's see here, videos. And let's see, we are on this would be episode 24, okay, so, just gotta get that right. Alright, today's episode I want to talk about, I just got something in the mail. Came from Thrift Books. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Book 3. Now this is one of the first, when I say first, I mean the comic book company first comics. It's a graphic novel. I actually did that myself to it on accident, pulling off the thrift. I wish they wouldn't put that Thrift Books sticker on there, but usually I can pull them off pretty easily, but I dinged it on myself on that. Other than that, it's in great shape. It's got just a hair of a crease on the cover, but for them, and it's got this, somebody punched a hole, as you can see it, up in the corner for some reason. And probably didn't mark it as something or note it as something. But I want to go over these. I'm going to try to get them all. There's 4 of them. And of course, every time I get one, I'll do a video on it. So basically what these are, they're colorized versions of the original comic in graphic novel form. And they collect so many issues of the book. Like I said, I had a lot of them, I never had first printings of 1 or 2. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I got first printing of number 3, and then I think I had a second printing of Raphael number 1, because I kind of got onto it a little late. About 85 I jumped onto it, so I didn't get them all right off the bat, but I enjoyed the black and white ones. I enjoyed the comics, like the oversized version of it, and eventually they ended up making it more comic book sized. But what really I enjoyed the most were these. I like the black and white art, and it had a very unique style to it. Very, Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, had a very 80s indie style to it, which was nice. But I like these color ones, and of course, because they're on, graphic novel, they're on like a magazine stock, a thicker paper, and then the colorization is pretty nice. Is it outstanding? I don't know, but they do have a very kind of comic booky feel to it. They didn't get heavy-handed into it. I don't, I'm trying to recollect from the first few. I think it got a little bit lighter as it went on, but it's I'm going to show you the interior of one of these issues that are in this book on a PDF, because I do have colorizations. I have the Color Classics omnibuses on PDF, or not on PDF, but on CBR. So I'll go through those, and I want to compare them because I think they're different. I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked at it yet all the way through, but I'm pretty sure just by glancing at it that they're different from the original comics. This is the comic I specifically want to go to here, and take note of this page here from the book. This is how it came. Back when this book came out, and I believe it was like 87, 88 when it came out. Let me see. 87, yeah. That's what I thought. So, and is this first printing? This is a first printing. Okay, cool. Yep, first printing, 1987. December. But, like I said, I got all 4 of these, and I paid $9.99 or $9.95 for them from Fireside Books in Winchester Mall. I think I got them all there, and as you can see, there was the cover price, $9.95. So it's pretty. You got a lot of value for your money. I mean, getting a comic book back then, was 75 cents a dollar for a Marvel comic. You wanted an indie comic, it was like $1.50, $1.75. There are a couple of them were a couple of bucks. Anytime anything was sought after, it kind of got up in value, $5 or $6 a piece. People usually wanted it at like a comic convention, or a at a comic shop. So spending $10 on about, I think there's about 6 issues in here, 7 issues in here. I can't remember exactly. Maybe there's less than, maybe it's 4, 5. Um, but you know, it was a pretty good value, especially at full color. Um, and I really like these. I mean, I've got story. I don't know if this was the number 3 was a specific one, but I think on one of my very first dates I went on. I'm sure it annoyed the piss out of the date I was on. But we went to the Winchester Mall because they had a movie theater there, and it was one of my first dates. It was one of those ones where the parents drop you off, and you know, went to the mall to kind of walk around and talk. You know, and I mean, we already kind of knew each other because we went to school together, so we're just kind of walking around, and very awkward. I remember the first thing I did was made a beeline for Fireside Books, you know, and this particular person that I was dating, which, well, this was the only date, and she was, you know, she was in school. She's the same grade as I was, and so this is 87. This is probably 88 because I think we were in, yeah. So I mean, like I said, these came out in 87. I think I got this or one of them in 87. But I think it was more into 8. This is 9th grade in high school. So anyways, yeah, I made a beeline for the for Fireside Books, and this, like I said, this particular person I was with was a heavy reader too, into fantasy, so she was, you know, she knew about the bookstore and she felt right at home. She didn't think that was very odd, and then we kind of looked around together at the bookshelves, checking stuff out, and then I noticed they had one of these, and it might have been 4. I don't think it was this particular one. This is 3. It had one, and I didn't have it at the time, so I was like, oh, I gotta get that. So, you know, I was more concerned about buying the graphic novel because the date was it was very awkward, and it was, you know, you're the young kid, you know, you're kind of and I don't even remember what movie we went and saw. I should know, but I can't remember. But I want to go get into my first date. That was the only date I had with this particular person. I think they felt there's 2 things happened about that. One revolving around Mists of Avalon book, and me talking too much about comic books to a person who's into fantasy novels and, you know, frequented the Renaissance or worked at the Renaissance Festival. Seemed kind of a good fit, but apparently I talk about comic books too much. So anyways, let me get on with my story. Anyways, where was I at? Okay, so, yeah. So I had these, and I love these. I mean, I cherish these. They're great. Who knows what happened to them? You know, I can't remember. So I'm trying to acquire them back, and for the longest time, these are really hard to find. And people wanted, like, top dollar for these, like $50 a piece for these. I'm assuming the prices, the values went down because of the omnibuses coming out, but at the same time, I mean, these are essentially classic, you know, comics. I mean, the omnibuses are brand new. I mean, these are vintage comics, and you know, so I went to thrift books, obviously, and I'm really enjoying thrift books. I've got a lot of stuff on there. They have pretty good prices. Shipping's not insane, and so I picked it up there. I'll show you. This is still the listings up, but I don't know if this is probably a different seller on this one. But here's the thrift books. So I think that's what I paid, $15.79, and I think shipping was like $3. It was under $20 with tax. So, you know, twice of what I paid for it back in the late 80s at $9.99 plus tax. It's great. I don't care. That's fine with me, you know. I'll take it. So I'm going to try to... I noticed that they do have, say, number 1s here for $17. Then I'll go buy these on me until I get them. Unless you're going to buy it for me, that would be great. But anyways, so here's number 1. I believe that's number 2. Number 3's here. It looks like out of stock on number 3. So eventually, and I'm not going to go crazy on these. I don't want to grab them all up right off the bat. But I kind of treat myself to these once in a while. And if I see it on there for, you know, under $20, I mean, I guess with $18.19 plus tax and shipping, it'll probably be like just over 20, unless I ship them both together and get 1 and 2 at the same time. But I'll get them eventually. Like I said, I'm not in a huge rush. You know, they've been out for almost 40 years, so you know, they did take a jump in price at one time, and then now they're kind of back down. So as far as the Ninja Turtle comic books, I want to say these are probably my most sought after of them all. I mean, I don't care to have first printings. I don't care to have actually the black and white comics as much. But these I definitely want. You know, if I'm gonna, you know, live out my life with Ninja Turtles comics on my shelf, I would rather them be these 4 graphic novels from First Comics. So let's get into it. And the reason I want to get into it specifically with this is, let's see, where am I at? Let's go to the cover. So this, oops, why is it not pulling up? Let's see, you guys can see that. Let me go. Let me pull up. Huh, I'm not pulling up. I'm going to pause it for just a second here, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I think the issue with that one was I had my my other source here on or not on display, but on Chrome browser, and not the display of my first display. So I got that rectified. I didn't realize I had a pause button. I could have paused it whenever I kind of run into a glitch here, so I'll remember that. Anyways, so this is the cover of number 8. It's kind of folded out so you can see the wraparound cover. And there's 2 reasons I really like this comic. It is not my favorite Ninja Turtle comic, though. My favorite Ninja Turtle comic is the Donatello miniseries, and basically because it's him and Jack Kirby, and they kind of go through Jack Kirby's, you know, world. Not the 4th world, but just Jack Kirby's like imagination or whatever. And it's really cool. And Donatello is my favorite turtle. So that is my favorite comic. And I'll probably cover that, you know, later. I think it shows up in one of these collections, and when it does, I'll go over it. But this is probably my second favorite comic of all of them. Is number 8, and for 2 reasons. Obviously, the first one is Renee. I really like Renee. I like that character. I think, you know, I mean, obviously, April's pretty cool too, as far as the girls of Ninja Turtles, and, you know, and whatever April you want, comic book April or cartoon April, you know, I like her too. But I really like the design of this character. I just like the costume, you know, and I like this character. And the other thing about this comic, of course, the reason my favorite, it's got Cerebus in it, and I love Cerebus. You know, I was reading Cerebus at this time, and you know, he was one of my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite indie comics of all time. I mean, I go up and down with my Cerebus. There's certain points, you know, where, like, I think Jaka Stories I liked. It started to get, right after Jaka Stories, it got really boring. But he had 300 issues, you know, and I would say I probably really enjoyed at least 75% of it. There's about 25% of it I'm just kind of, eh. But, you know, you can't knock it out of the park for 300 issues straight, so it's kind of a given on that one. I don't think there's any comic book for 300 issues straight that you can honestly say you like every one. So, but anyway, so I like Cerebus a lot. And it's cool because Dave Sim actually draws Cerebus in there. He just does Cerebus, which is pretty neat. So that's the cover, but that's not what I want to show you. I want to show you the colorization. Now, here's the thing. So, you know, at first glance when I checked this out, I noticed a couple of things right off the bat. I mean, obviously, they changed her, the color of her costume from blue to red. Now, do I mind? And it's got more leather than, like, the blue. Do I mind? No, not really necessarily. I mean, I like red. I like blue, too. I could go either way. I like blue because it's what I remember the most. But I can go red. It looks fine with the leather, you know, gloves and, you know, bodysuit there. I think that's fine, too. But right off the bat, I noticed, you know, how the colorization is different. So let's get into it. And yeah, as you can see, I pulled my bookmark out. Of course I did. Let me hit the camera and pull that up here. Oh, where's my stylus? There it is. So yeah, so there's the first issue. There's the first page of that from the graphic novel, and as you can see, she's got the blue on, you know, and in this she's got the red. Now, as far as the rest of it, yeah, the guy in the back, little statue in the background, is more of a green. They definitely are using gradients on this one. Whoever colorized this, I'm not going to look it up. I don't really care. But yeah, when they colorize this, they use more gradients as opposed to this one's more of a water. You're using probably watercolors on a photostat of that, or maybe a photostat printed on watercolor paper. But I like this better. You know, just looks better. I mean, there's even what would be a gradient on the other cover isn't a gradient. That's a wash with watercolor, and yeah, I like the look of this a lot better. There's another page here. So yeah, so they changed the look of it, and they changed her costume to red and brown. I gotta say, I guess honestly, I still like the blue better than the red for her costume. I mean, the red's pretty striking, but I mean the blue's pretty striking too. You know, it's a cool color, hot color, and warm color. What do you want? Or hot? It's pretty much outside of yellow. I guess red's probably not the hottest color. I think it's yellow. I would go yellow, orange, red. If you're gonna go through the three different warm colors of that shade, of yellow going to red. So yeah, let's see when what's his face shows up. Oh, there's that splash page. Let's see how that looks. Oops, sure, I'm doing it again. So yeah, so going back here, let's go back. There's the cover there. There's that. You know, actually, what I do, if I can get it going here, when I read the comics on my CBR viewer, I blow them up. I mean, I like them huge. I like the look. I try to get them like, you know, right to the edge. You just hit the plus button, blows it up like that. But I try to get it right to the edge because I want to see the art close. I want to look at it. You know, I'm an artist, so I want to see it. It's also easier to read. I'm getting old, so it's easier to read when the letters are blown up. But yeah, it looks nice. Like I said, I'm still going with the blue though, as far as my favorite out of the two. Yeah, they kind of, whoever colored this, I don't even think even looked at this. They probably just started going at it. You know, I mean, obviously they knew the turtles are green, and they still had, all four of them had the red, their red bandanas and stuff. So yeah. So yeah, here's that. I'm gonna zoom out a bit. This is that splash page, and then the splash page. And here, I'll just put it up to the camera real quick so you can see it. Yeah, it's. I gotta say that one on the screen is a little too. It's a little dark for me. I like the lighter look here. Like I said, it just has a nice, softer watercolor look to it, which looks nice. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going over the story of this. Like I said, it's not really what the video is about. I like the story's okay. I mean, it's good. I like it. But obviously, what really, got me going was was Renee. I liked her character a lot. And I liked the turtles, so her showing up in here, thought that was very appealing. Like I said, this is after I turned 12, 13, so you know how young teenage boys are. We're kind of going to zero in on everything you can think of. It's a nice splash page. Yeah, he really went to town with the red. He made the head and top red, and her cape and stuff red, so yeah, I do like the blue better. Now here's Cerebus. Now I gotta say, Now I know that they're using a zip tone, or it's a gradient, or not gradient, but a tone there, and I'm assuming that was what do you call it? A real tone, not a computer tone, because that was most definitely in the real comic. And it was probably laid on there by Sim himself, because he was, like I said, he was just drawing Cerebus. The other artists were drawing other characters in the backgrounds. So I'm assuming Sim, when he did this, he laid down the zipatone. I don't know if anybody knows the zipatone. It's come in big sheets, 11 by 17, I think, or legal size. I can't remember. I think they're 11 by 17 sheets, and they have different grades, like 25%, 30%, 40%. And then they're sticky and they're transparent, and they have little dots printed on them. And the closer the dots, the higher the percentage. The farther away the dots, the lower the percentage. And you could see your drawing through it. So essentially, you lay it down, and then you'd probably want. I mean, some people will cut right into it over their drawing. It's probably not a good idea to do. So, you lay your original artwork down. It's better just to take a pencil and. You can sketch, because you can erase that pencil and just kind of sketch around the where you want the zip to be, and then you got to peel it off, and you got to fix it or stick it right onto the. You got to get it right, because if you get it wrong, and you keep pulling it back up and off your paper, you're gonna end up tearing your paper and pulling your inks off. So you got to kind of have to get it right the first time. That's really a pain in the neck. Very tedious to work with. I've used it before, and I love the effects, but I really didn't like working with it. But so you lay it down, but you can also take an X-Acto knife or a hobby knife, and you can scrape the black and kind of give highlight with the rim lighting here. I mean, it's probably cut, but you could do this also by just scraping it. You could also just take white opaque paint and just rim light that way if you want to. But I gotta say, now on the flip side, the comic's got a very almost bluish look to the gray. This gray that the digital artist laid down here, the colorist did, actually looks more. It's either, I think he didn't lay any gray down. I think that's just straight zip, because that was the whole point of the zipatone, was to be able to make Cerebus pop and stand out in the comic, on a black and white comic. So I think they colorized this. Yeah, you can tell by the rim lighting. So they basically laid down a color flat for him, and then it made it darker with the zip. So this one, I think they just went straight, left it white, or left it uncolored, just colored around it, which gave it looks more true to the comic, as this looks more overcolored. So in that regard, I think that Cerebus part. Let's check the other pages. Yeah, I think they did the same thing there as well. So and then when let's see how they, yeah, he added more lighting to it, like that. This highlight here on his arm is a yellow, like very, very, like a lemon yellow. It's almost like can't remember the number of the Windsor, the Doc Martin color, but yeah, as you can see, it's more of a whitish, sky blue. Actually, it looks like they touched it a little bit with some blue or gray in there with the watercolor, and it kind of left it. Now, funny thing though is, I'm noticing they did a gray on Cerebus here, which again with the zip on it ends up, which is on this other page. They put a gray here, and then and they put a background in this one, as opposed to this one has no background. I think I like this better. You don't have to put a background in every panel. Establish your background in one or two shots of your page, but you don't need to keep doubling the background in every single panel. I think when people do that, it's a beginner mistake, and it muddies the page up. It doesn't let the page breathe. I think when you have a close-up or something you want dramatic, just have the figure in there. Have a gradient like that, like they did. Well, they did more of a wash, but that sunbursty wash gradient in the background is a lot more dramatic than just, it looks like they can just copy and pasted some of the trees. It might even be from the it's probably from this layer, one of the other layers. Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah, I think it would have been better the other way around. So, let's see, did they color him? Sorry, afternoon. Give me the afternoon snoozes here. I need to take a nap. I'm getting old. Yeah, they changed him a bit. He's more of a warmer color. He's more of a fleshy color here. More of a warmer color here. Yeah. So those two panels of Cerebus on the bottom are pretty nice, and they look totally different from this. I gotta say, I like the blue. I like that too. It's hard to. I think if you want to tell the truth, this colorized version, I think it's a little overbaked. But the color choices, for the most part, are okay. I don't mind the color choices. I just like the look of this watercolor. It looks so much better than the computer color, and saying a lot coming from a person who does all of their art 100% digitally, I mean, that's what I would do. I would use a digital color. So, yeah, I know. I just like this. This looks better to me. There you get to see her with her helmet off, and she's got kind of a blonde, spiky hair. And there's Cerebus. Of course, they got to end up at an inn. You know how it is. Got to go drinking with Cerebus. Got turtles drinking with Cerebus. Apparently, they don't serve pizza here, but that wasn't a thing in these comics. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I was just from the cartoon. The pizza time. Like I said, Michelangelo didn't talk like a surfer in this comic. It was a different tone. I like the tone of the comic better than the cartoon. I mean, I like the cartoon. I've got a spot in my heart for the cartoon, but overall, I like the tone of the comic so much better. It's not that it's more adult. Like one's kiddie, one's adult. It just has a completely different tone. I mean, I guess sure they're trying to appeal to the kids with the the hang loose for surfer dude, but I mean that's just an archetype. And kids must respond to them in the 80s, That must be the default go-to response is make everybody a surfer. Kids love the surfers. Put your hat on sideways. Now you're extreme. Kids love extreme things. Dopey dog. Put the dopey dog and have his hat on sideways. He's hip and down with the streets. Now he can relate to the kids. Whatever. It's all corporate bullshit that they put in comics. But, hey, if it doesn't, kids can't respond to a more different, more edgier tone, which, kids are all into crazy edgy stuff, South Park, stuff like that. I mean, they like really outrageously, violent, a lot of swearing, they love all that stuff. So why not give them, you don't have to give them, dumbed down characters. That's the thing I notice that's the thing about, this, and there are some good stuff even made specifically for kids, is they don't dumb them, it's never dumbed down for the kids. It stays true to what it was, and it's just appealing in its own right, and that's why the kids like it. Let's see, let's go to that page where she's hanging there. Oh yeah, it's totally different. I mean, obviously because of the blue over the red and brown, but just has even the way the wall's done. This is a very cool look to it. It's very blue. It looks like it's at night. It's got that kind of look. This is more warmer. Looks more like it's at sunset. Again, I mean, it's a choice. What do you like better? I think I like the nighttime better look. Okay, they're going to get into a scrap. Cerebus is throwing on his barbarian helmet. He's going to jump in the fray. Love this stuff. Get some skeleton warriors. Throw them in there for the mix. Why not? Throw in the skeleton warriors. Cerebus comes in, kicks down the door. Oh, I don't know. That's how they did that. It was lightning. Lightning. Yeah, they did a weird thing with the comic there. It looks like they went kind of nuts with the brush on the watercolor. Kind of did a dabby, kind of bleedy look to it. I think obviously you can make effects a lot better on a computer with some of the effects. But as you notice, like this down here, this effect on these whatever the staff he's got here, and even the effect here on the staff, that's way too overbaked. I mean, that's way too overdone. Let's see, where is it? In here, you're not going to get any of that with the watercolors because you can't. I mean, I guess you could find some way to kind of have that effect, but I find it looks bad. It just takes away from the line art. I mean, don't cover up line art. I mean, if you're going to do it very subtly, but don't cover up a lot of line art with a bunch of effects just because it looks cool and because you can. That's, I think, the biggest problem with comics, or computer color and modern comic stuff, is people do things because they can. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do it. Doesn't mean you should do it. I think a good artist, an excellent artist, knows the difference when to rein it back and not overbake things. I think, again, it's either an immature artist or a beginner artist, and if it's this veteran artist, colorist, well, for one thing, they probably didn't get that person to do this, but I just find it overbaked. This looks bad. Yeah, they just keeps going with it too. Jesus, this won't stop. Sorry. Why does everything make me angry? I don't know. Seems like everything. Every time whenever I see just bad decisions, it gets under my skin quick. Irritates me. Almost done here with this comic. I think that's the last page there. And then there's a short little epilogue here. And then it goes into this guy. I had the first printing of that comic, but yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go through this entire book. I wanted to go through that specific issue because it's my second favorite issue. It's the most fantasy of them all, too, obviously. But I really like that. Really like her. Love Cerebus and love the fact he's in it. I mean, I think he totally outshines the Turtles in this one. I guess obviously these people knew each other and they asked Sim to do it, and obviously Sim agreed to do it. So I think they wanted to do this. I don't think it was a matter of a jealousy between the two creators. I think it was just I think they had a general, probably a general, appreciation for each other, and wanted to come together and throw them together, which is, it's like I said, pretty rare. I know, McFarlane got Sim to put Cerebus and Spawn, so, I'm sure they pay these, Sim probably took a lot of money too. At the end of the day, money talks and bullshit walks, so. No matter what your integrity is or your whatever it is. I mean, I've sacrificed my integrity a lot, when the price is right. So, I can have ideals up to a certain point. Either A, I'm starving and I need the money, or B, the money is just too good to pass up. So, it's just how it is. So, we'll get into a big tirade on that. So yeah, so I'm pretty satisfied with this purchase. I just want to show you something real quick. NECA, the action figure, the company, NECA does do a Renee, the Mirage Studio style Renee right here. She's $37.99. That's pretty pricey. I mean, that's what like the War Duke cost. That's what NECA figures go for. I find this to be pretty pricey. I'm not going to think she's going to peg warm per se, but I think that she should be readily and enough should be available of her to be able to get her at a cheaper price at some point. Again, I say that now and then I'll never get her for anywhere under $100. So again, I'll treat myself at some point. I'd like to have this figure just because it's it's pretty much the character of the comic. Now it's the red with the brown. It would be nice if they did a variant and did the blue. Let's blow her up if we can. Nice looking figure. And what did I say yesterday about showing the legs? They need to show the legs. You're definitely showing the legs here on this one. I mean, it's not gratuitous. I mean, this is a pretty modest outfit. I mean, sure, there's a lot of cleavage there, but I mean, from the waist down, it's pretty modest. It's actually almost old school, you know, like an old school bathing suit from like the 50s or 60s, so it's pretty modest. It's just showing some leg. What's wrong with that? I like that. I like when the helmet's off and the hood's still up. That's kind of neat. It's kind of cool look to it. Yeah, and her face looks pretty nice. Looks very spot on to the comic. It still looks attractive. There she is. I'm assuming she comes with either a separate hair or a separate head. I don't know exactly. There she is with her blonde spiky hair underneath the hood. That's cool. It's neat that they have that. Yeah, that looks really nice. I really like that a lot. I'll definitely get that figure. Oh, it comes with that. That's nice. That's pretty cool. I like that. I didn't notice that when I first saw this stuff. There's a lot of images in this one. I think it just repeats itself now. Oh no, here we go. It's not a digital render, it's just a flattened layout. So that's all the stuff you get. So you get a separate head. It looks like her helmet comes off, her headdress comes off, and you get the hooded head. I'm assuming when you pull this head off, you put the hood down here and then put that head on. It gives you the little Oni or whatever it is, the floating head too. That's pretty cool. You get her little time, you know, her little hourglass staff. You get her scroll rolled up. You get some extra hands, some punching hands. Punching hands, and these are probably hands to hold the, because it looks like she's got palms open here. These are probably hold the accessories like the dagger and the staff, or even you can maybe put them both on here so she could pull the scroll out. It'd be nice to have the scroll open, but, and then some fisticuffs hands there. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, you can't, definitely the NECA, they don't skimp on the accessories. For $40, they shouldn't. That's just going through the same pictures again. So there she is on NECA. Like I said, NECA makes that part of their line. NECA has a bunch of other. They have, I think they're doing all 4 Turtles. I think they have a Foot Soldier who's recently out. This one's a little older. This one's been out for about a year now. I think they have a Foot Soldier out now, a Shredder, a comic Shredder. Yeah, I'd love to have all of them for the comics, but I mean, they're just so expensive. Just like the Super 7, it's like I can't pay $40 a figure. You know, maybe one would be nice, and like I said, I'll take her. You know, if they had a good April, I'd take a good April. You know, and the Turtles would be fine. Maybe a Donnie, maybe I'd do a Donatello figure if they sold them separately, which they probably, I don't think they do right now. It's in a big, probably $150 pack, which is just way too expensive. I mean, the $150, I can buy a turntable for I can buy a nice turntable. I can buy an Audio-Technica turntable for $150. You know, I can almost get a receiver for that, or get a nice set of speakers for that. I'm not gonna buy, you know, that. You know, I didn't make the mistake, but I bought Super 7 first wave of the G.I. Joe. I'll show you those at some point, but they need to. I got them on sale, but even on sale they're like $150 out the door, which is great sale for them, but it's pricey. Which leads me to believe these are $40 a piece. Yeah, that set's probably closer to $200, even at Target. And it's probably not going to go on clearance because people are going to grab those things up. So eventually I'll get this one, but not right now. So I just wanted to show you that. And yeah, alright, so let's give you my final thoughts here to kind of wrap this up. But I'm satisfied with this for what I paid for it. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to pay $50 or whatever it was on Amazon by a third-party seller at one time, but I'll take it on this for on Thrift Books for, you know, under $20. Pretty much essentially twice what I paid for it back in the 80s, so It's going into the collection. I'll get more into the Turtles and stuff, but I have a few more Turtle stories. But like I said, I was there from, in the beginning, relatively, not 84, but I definitely got into it in 85. The role-playing game, role-playing game by Palladium Books. Loved that. And like I said, that was what got me into the Turtles first, was that book. And then eventually all this, and then of course the cartoon. I can get into the cartoon. Like I said, I think I might have told the story when I first, the first episode aired on that Monday morning, and so there was that, and then there was what else? Turtle stuff. Yeah, then I eventually got into the figures and stuff, but. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it was the comics first, before the cartoon, and, it was a role-playing game first, but then the comics, but they kind of went hand in hand. The role-playing game, they had, Palladium had, I don't know who they had a partnership with, but they were coming out with, miniatures. I mean, they had miniatures for, the Robotech. They had a Robotech game, I'll get into that later, but they had they had miniatures for the Ninja Turtles, and they're really tiny. I mean, they were little, they're 25 millimeter miniatures, but the Ninja Turtles are only like 4 feet, 3.5, 4 feet high, so they're really teeny little guys. And the little shredder, I mean, I barely could even tell what it was. But they had these, and they're pewter lead miniatures back in the 80s for the role-playing game. And they had the Turtles, I think they had Foot Soldiers. Oh, Shredders, and then Mousers. Mousers are really tiny. But I had a few of those. I bought their blister packs are like $2.95 a piece. I got them at Joe's Hobby Shop. I have a story about that, going up to getting one of the sets one time. But anyways, on my bike. But yeah, I had a bunch of those, and I painted some of them. Some of them I didn't paint. I don't know where they went, but they were okay. We didn't, like I said, back in the day, we really didn't use miniatures. I liked miniatures, and we loved having miniatures. But outside of just standing the miniature out and saying, hey, there's my character, we didn't do marching order. All of our role-playing game, for the most part, in the 80s was all theater of the mind. It wasn't until, I would say not even until 3rd edition, till I even knew what a battle mat was. I mean, I don't think Chessex, they might have had them back in the day, but, they came out with the battle mats, and people were really sticklers on, the flanking and the spacing on the, it's a 1 in each 25 millimeter 1-inch squares, hex, and they could draw on it with dry erase markers for the dungeons and stuff like that. People were real heavy into that for 3rd edition D&D, but back when all this was out, I don't even think we really even pulled the Marvel Superheroes maps out. We just assumed, hey, you're in this area. Okay, now you're going to move over to this area. We really didn't use miniatures. Like I said, we painted them, we collected them, we loved them. But when we actually played the games, it was just theater of the mind. It was just sitting around talking about it. That was our thing. I mean, like I said, we had pretty good I still have a pretty decent imagination, but we really had, imaginations are on fire at that age. So, we could imagine it all in our heads. All right. So on that note, let's close it up here. It's just over 40 minutes. I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep. I gotta get some caffeine in me. But tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I didn't really even know I was going to make this video today, but then I forgot that this was coming. Got the email while I was working on my comics this morning, and it said, hey, this is on its way. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hey, this was delivered. Oh, it is? And, of course, it wasn't on my doorstep. They put it in my mailbox in my apartment complex. That was all bent in there. Whatever. I said everybody annoys me. So I got it. Probably get the other ones sometime soon. Hopefully they don't sell out. Probably pick up that figure at some point. Sorry, I should look over here now. I'm not looking at the screen at the moment. Mesmerized by Renee's legs. But anyways, yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. We'll figure something out. course, it's plenty. I got plenty of comic books to talk about. Plenty of that stuff. Again, like, subscribe, do all that funky jazz, and again, message me. Send me messages. If you guys have got questions about anything, you want clarification on anything, you just want to call me a dick, sure, whatever. Write me. Tell me what you're thinking. You can get to my address, there's that business section down there that shows my email address. That's my main email address. It's my clients use that address, and my followers or my watchers can use that address as well. Tell me what you're thinking. Like I said, you got questions about my art, my comics, I'll be glad to talk about it with you. Just bear in mind it is 18 plus stuff, so just keep that in mind if you're going to talk to me about that. And we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. I'm going to fall asleep.